Hey guys, do you like breakdowns of your favorite shows? Check out our new show, Watch Club, where we break down shows like Westworld and some of your other favorites. Enjoy!
Welcome to MojoTalks, and this is Watch Club, the show where we break down the biggest shows on TV. I am your host, Matt, and this is Phoebe. And we're going to talk about Westworld, Season 2, Episode 2, which was titled Reunion, directed, by Vincenzo Natali and written by Carly Ray and Jonathan Nolan. So, I mean, let's just jump into our favorite moments, Phoebe. So how about you start things off?
Okay, no problem. This was a great episode. I really, really enjoyed it. I think I'd have to say that my favorite part were the flashbacks that Dolores was having. So the episode opens with her and Arnold in the city, and she's looking over like the cityscape, and she's like completely dumbfounded by the beauty of it all. So I thought that that was really interesting to see her character outside of Westworld and sort of in the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also really cool to see how she's sort of cognizant of all the things that have happened to her. She's slowly remembering these things that have happened to her. And she remembers what the outside world looks like. She even says in the episode, like, I've been there. And so that was really cool.
They weren't exactly just like random flashbacks. They always drew back to the main story.
Exactly.
And these were, like you said, the information that she retained. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. I also really liked when Delores and Maeve finally met up.
Yes.
I was a little bit disappointed. I realized they have differing ideologies when it comes to the revolution or whatever, but I really wanted them to sort of be like, you know, two ladies like killing it in the revolution.
Yeah.
It didn't work out that way, but I thought that their encounter was really, really interesting.
Yeah, you could tell that there was like tension too.
It's just there was
the moment when Maeve was just like, well, if you're just looking for justice and stuff like that, then that means you could just let me pass and that's fine. And you could tell that like Dolores was a little annoyed with that. And it's funny, it's like, I don't know if you felt the same way, but it almost seemed like it was like a crossover event, you know? Obviously they're in the same show, but when they finally got together, it just felt like two worlds colliding.
They have like really different storylines and sort of like a different trajectory for their ideology. So I thought that that was really cool. And it's true that it sort of felt like a crossover within the same, you know, world, which was really, really cool.
Yeah. On my end, my favorite moments, flashbacks were a big one because we saw two returning characters that might not have a very big prominent role this season because it all happened in the past. But Logan came back, and as like much of a douchebag character he was, I always loved seeing him on screen. So when he came back, I was super stoked. And we even found out that like his last name is Delos, which is pretty crazy. When that happened, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, this took a little bit of a different shift here. So my favorite part was just like the whole Westworld pitch. You know, he goes to the restaurant and he sees like the first robot, and then they go to this private party, and he's just like, wait a minute, this isn't a private event. Like, look at all these people. They're like, take a little closer look. So I thought that was really awesome.
That was really cool.
And basically, I just love all the pitch scenes because Jimmy Simpson's character makes a return as well. And there's a scene when he's talking to Logan's dad, who's going to be like the main investor in all this. And he's just like, oh, if you don't see like the potential in this, then you're not the businessman that I thought you were. And I was just
That's pretty cheeky of him.
Yeah, exactly. And it shows just how dark his character can be too.
Yeah, I really liked the sort of dichotomy between like the first season William and like this sort of darker William, like him becoming the Man in Black. Which I thought was really cool because like Jimmy Simpson is one of my favorite actors. Like he's so underrated, it's crazy.
I completely agree.
And it was really like, you know, he was very creepy, and there was a scene where his wife had, you know, pulled their child away from Dolores, so I guess that she knows that he sort of had a love affair with this, you know, host. And he, you know, he's like very bitter about it, and he wakes her up in the lab, and he's like kind of giving her shit, you know, like saying like, oh, you're nothing, you're not a thing, and it's like she remembers all of it, so it's just makes it so much more terrible.
And he tries to be like so demoralizing too, just the fact that she's completely naked. Whereas like when Bernard talks to her, she's always dressed, you know, he treats her with respect. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. And it's fun that you mentioned that whole Dolores piano scene. I think you'll talk about that a little bit in the What You Missed section.
I will.
Which is actually coming up next. right, so this is a segment we call What You Missed. And it's basically, it's self-explanatory. It's what you might have missed when you were watching the show. So Phoebe's gonna get us started off. There are a couple things she wanted to make sure that you guys caught wind of, so.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know if anybody else noticed. I certainly did, and I think that you did as well.
Perhaps.
In the scene where Logan is being introduced, well, not really introduced, he's having the demo where you know, in the room with the people at the party, and there's someone on the piano. When he walks by the piano, we see a character, and he's staring at him, trying to figure out whether or not he's a host. And the guy's kind of like looking back at him, giving him a bit of like a dirty look. Yeah. And that was really cool. Yeah. Later in the episode, we meet this character again when Dolores approaches the Confederados and they're all eating dinner together. Yes. He's actually the main spokesperson on behalf of this group. So that was really interesting. Yeah. I don't know what the link is there, but I think that that is a very interesting new character.
I have a little link that's associated with that, but I'll let you get to your second What You Missed, and then I'm gonna jump in.
And my second What I Missed is a little bit different. So in the first season, we know that Abernathy finds a photo of a woman, and it sort of makes him go crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So this photo was actually a Getty stock photo that the show used as a prop.
Okay. Okay.
In the first season. The woman who was in the stock photo did not know that, you know, this photo was being used in such an amazing show. When she found out, she was super flattered. She was really excited to be a part of it. And they actually asked her to come back for the second season and be in the show as an actress. Her name is Claire Unabia. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. She actually plays William's wife in this episode. So as we said earlier, she sort of yells at her daughter to come back from talking to Dolores. Yeah. So that's a really interesting tidbit of information.
That's interesting. I did not catch on to that.
Yes.
That has like a lot of layers to it. That's very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of layers.
So there's a couple of things I think that the audience missed, and you touched upon it briefly, is the guy who was like standing next to the piano when Logan, like, he's kind of scouting him out. He was obviously at the that table where they're eating dinner and stuff. Yeah. He's a leader of the Confederados. But as Dolores enters and her group, it's like a nice wide shot of this long table. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but it looks eerily similar to a famous painting by Leonardo da Vinci called The Last Supper. So I don't know if you guys mentioned, or if you noticed that, I should say. And like, what does it symbolize? Is it just like a cool kind of biblical shot? Yeah. Does it symbolize resurrection? I think it does, and I also have a theory / prediction about that for later, but I'm gonna tease you guys with that. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what it is just yet. And the second What You Missed is Mr. Kanye West, who's been kind of all over the news lately, and he's been in Westworld too. Season 1, it's no secret that Westworld likes kind of putting together acoustic piano versions of popular songs. They did it with like Radiohead, they did it with the Rolling Stones, and they did it with Kanye West this time with the song Runaway.
Great song.
Great song. And there's even a quote where, who says it?
Logan.
Yes, Logan, he's just like, that's when he's like by the water and he's just like, here's to the assholes, and it's just like, nice little reference to that. So, yeah, that was really Not sure if you guys caught on to those, but we're letting you know, so keep those in mind moving forward. They could come into play later. So I guess we're going to jump into our predictions next.
If he wants to get to glory, he's going to have to listen to me.
Glory? Valley beyond? Feels like everyone's got a different name for it, but they're all bound for the same destination.
So I had talked about resurrection before at the whole kind of Last Supper scene, and my prediction is basically, or you remember the scene, it was actually one of my favorite scenes of the episode, is when the man in black meets El Lazo, and he's trying to convince him and his people to join his cause, to go to the great valley beyond, whatever they call it. And basically he says, you know, no, I don't want to do it. And he has all of his men turn the guns on their own heads, and they all kill themselves. And before he kills himself, he says, I'll see you in the valley beyond, William. And then he takes the man in black's gun and shoots himself. So I think, and we've seen this even in like episode 1, where like Robert Ford is talking to him through like these characters. He talked to him through the little kid. I think that's him talking to him through El Lazo. And the fact that he says, I'll see you in the valley beyond, makes me think that the valley beyond is this other kind of lab where they collect all of the guests DNA and stuff like that. I talked about that previously in the last episode as well. So I think this is like the main place where they harvest all of that stuff. And obviously super rich, super important people go to this Westworld. And I think they harvest their DNA. And it's possible that some of these people maybe even die in the park, but they recreate them as robots and put them back into the real world. So that's my prediction.
That's really
interesting. It's a pretty big one. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it does, but I'm hoping it does. It's a pretty bold prediction on my part.
I think there were a lot of clues in this episode that the Valley Beyond is sort of like literal and figurative.
Yes.
And I think that that's a really, really interesting sort of tidbit.
Yeah.
What I really liked in this episode and what I think will happen possibly in the next episode or episodes to follow, we talked about this last week where we see, you know, the great body of water that has all of these hosts floating in it.
Yes.
So this episode, season 2, episode 2, we see that Dolores has the capacity essentially to raise these hosts from the dead, which is giving me total zombie vibes, and I'm here for it. I'm obsessed with it.
It's creepy, right?
I love it. I love it. When they raise the Confederado and he's like, his face is all bloody and his eyes are weird. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that maybe we're seeing from the first episode when Bernard and the Delos agents are looking over into the water, seeing all of these dead hosts. It's really disturbing.
Right.
I think that, like I said last week, it's a trap. And I think that showing that Dolores has the capacity to raise these hosts from the dead, essentially, is just like going to be her army. And she's just going to kill it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I think that would be so cool.
I didn't even think of that, but I think that might happen.
Yeah.
That's crazy because all of the agents are there. Oh man, that's like Game of Thrones Night King vibes, where he just brings the dead back. Oh my God, that is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so that basically wraps it up. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and be sure to check back Monday for more Westworld little Easter eggs. And on Fridays, if you like movie stuff, then Phoebe and I are on a little show called The Cinephiles, which airs every Friday. So be sure to subscribe to MojoTalks, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
So that's our breakdown. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Check out our other episodes here and some of your other favorite shows right here.